Welcome back to the OCS semi-finals. One team, the Dire Cubs, already seeded straight into the grand final, and we are here to decide on the other team. Mammoth
We're
versus
deciding?
Emprox. Yeah, we just make a decision.
Cool.
You know what I mean? Scissor, paper, rock.
Yep. Where are we going?
That's just a disaster.
You didn't do it.
No, it's like Sid.
Yeah, so you didn't do. I was waiting. You were just silently doing this.
Look, it's not about us. It's about the teams that are going to be competing. That was an absolute train wreck. It was kind of curious coming into the semi-finals, right? Like going into the quarters, looking at it, it's like, okay, first two seeds in Mammoth and Dire Cubs look incredibly strong, and we're not going to be able to see them, right?
Yep.
Like until we get to this point. Gravitas put up a very good fight in that first series, and now can the same be said here for Emprox versus Mammoth?
Hopefully they can. Emprox, they've had a pretty good run in terms of that they've been consistent. So they haven't really gone too far above, like they don't have like a 10-0 score, but they've been really, really good in terms of just holding their own. On the side of Mammoth, I think that they're probably the strongest team that we have. They've gone up against the Cubs successfully. They were the first team to defeat the Cubs successfully. And they've just gone from strength to strength. So Emprox are against a powerhouse, but in saying that, if they keep their cool, like we've seen with Gravitas, if they play the game that they want to, they have every chance to be able to take this gauntlet away from them.
Yeah, right, because last series was really like a difference of styles, and I think we get a similar thing here with Mammoth and Emprox. Because Mammoth are, in my eyes, by all rights, just like the young mechanics crew of the OCS. Like all of their laners, they have like very deep champion pools, they play whatever is currently in the meta, and they just like to flex on people in solo lanes. They play a very good like standard game of League of Legends, but it's not like a slow, like methodical yada yada. They really will just like take it to you early, and they'll just look to like play very upfront League of Legends. Whereas Emprox are somewhat a little bit different. They're not a team of like superstars, and I've said this multiple times. Like they have big pop-off moments from everyone, but they really are just like a consistent team that is better than the sum of their parts. They have in the bottom side like Artek and Boma. They can look very good on their day. Like Lived, I think, is actually one of the very good top tier mid laners in the OCS. So yeah, interesting to see what sort of style we get here between them two.
Yeah, I'm really, really curious. A lot of them as well, you talked about the champion pools that they do have. A lot of them actually overlap between the two teams. So you have Emprox with that really solid foundation. You have Mammoth who are willing to change it up. They have a deeper hero pool. I mean, when you say deeper, like not everyone's going to play everything that they're good at, but you know what I mean? Like normally we see, in terms of standard League of Legends, you have like 5 champions that you practice in and out. You know the ins and outs of in case you get banned away. But in terms of Mammoth, like you could expand that. Like I'd go as far to say that they probably have double that.
Yeah, possibly, right? Very flexible players, and they have played a bunch of different stuff. So heading on into the second series of the day. Riven Band to kick it off.
That's the top lane that they've got their eye on. So Redempts, they have their eye on him. He's played a very, very mean Riven in the past. So taking that one away from him. And already just a change-up of the previous series that we did see. It was very target band focused. Wondering if we'll see the same coming out of Mammoth.
Yeah, of course, because there like wasn't many meta bans. It was like the Casio, the GP, yada yada, getting banned away. I think if I was to look at these two teams, the two matchups that I think will skew this the most is top and support. Isles and Artek on their day have been like pop-off players and have been very good for their respective teams. And then I think in the top side, like Berserker, if I think about like the start of the season, there was like monstrous Darius games and stuff like that. But towards the latter end, it was much more about like the bottom 3 on Emprox. Whereas Mammoth Academy, like you see Riven Aurelia bans and like they want to play through their solo lanes. Redempts up top is a very mechanical young player, big powerhouse for their team, and getting a Riven respect ban in the semi-finals of the OCS makes a lot of sense here. And I think those two matchups are going to be a big one here.
Talia as well. So Mammoth have shown that they don't mind playing her, jungle, mid, whatever you have it. So taking that one away. So again, there are some target bans coming out on the side of Emprox for their approach. Mammoth, the biggest thing I can see, taking away that Karthus.
Yeah.
Interesting pick for me.
Which is something that I want to hit on. Like Karthus, LCK, like huge priority pick in the current meta, like very strong if you can play the Karthus style. And contrast to the Dire Cubs Gravitas game, it was like Sejuani, it was like Xin Zhao bans, a lot of the proactive make shit happen buttons were in the jungle. When you take a look at the support matchup here, is like Artek versus Isles, like Thresh, Pike, Nautilus. They are the playmakers for their team here. Maybe with a Xayah lock-in, it's something like the Rakan. So it does kind of open up the junglers to be more like pure damage, less teamfight engaged sort of tools. And as you see, Karthus, Talia get banned away. Yeah.
Have to wait and see where the prioritization comes out. Is here someone we haven't seen for a while, but that's a special as well that Mammoth have played. So Halo would be on that one. If he's playing in the mid lane, the Caitlyn coming out really, really early. That's from Mboma. So already answering out, they've picked up their lane. But also coupled with the Corki, we saw how well Corki is really fitting into the current meta, the swing of things. Just a safe pick, but can also excel if you want him in the bot lane, if you want him in the mid lane.
Is very flexible, and I want to hit on something that just happened in the bottom side. Like Xayah blind, you always have to think about Rakan, and it's probably the expected lock-in at the end of the day. Like you have like engage tool from there, you have big hyper carries in the Azir and the Xayah. But locking in at Caitlyn, Xayah is kind of, unbeknownst to a lot of people, actually very short range. Effective range, really high when you get the feathers, you get the rip back, yada yada, but in terms of just straight up attack range, Caitlyn can bully very effectively, and then you lock in something like the Morg, and it's like, okay, Rakan seems like not that great an option. All she has to do is sit behind the Caitlyn, hit her with a spell shield every now and again, and she's just gonna like play 1 versus 2, and that's fine. As such, Isles picks up the Yumi. We saw it earlier today where it was like the Morgana Twitch lane, get something like the Karma. You want to pick the poke because they don't have much sustain, so
completely deterring them out of that pick.
It's sort of interesting what's happened so far. We are getting into the second phase of bans. Nocturne dies. Okay, sure.
Yeah, so Nocturne, Renekton taken away. So Renekton having a huge influence in the games that we did see, as I said, coming right back into the swing of things. The changes that he received, 9.14, have really brought him back into speed in terms of what the offerings are in the top laners. And Camille, someone that we haven't seen played a lot of, but when she is, it's often to great success, and to great impact.
Yeah, very impactful champion. That's actually a really good way to put it. There are some champions in League of Legends that can go 0-0, and it's fine. I've dropped my pen 6 times. Camille is not one of those champions. She goes 10-0 or 0-10 very quickly. Aatrox is a guy that we just did not see at all prioritized in the first series, but he's incredibly strong. Very safe blind pick. So Redemp's going to lock himself in that one as well. I guess it can go in the jungle as well. So it is still flexible and not necessarily locked in till last pick.
Yeah, so it's taking away what Mprox picked in the quarterfinals. They did play that Aatrox Renekton. They've also played things such as the Nico, the Karma, Silas. So they're happy to flex out a little bit. Is this going to be the Kennen lock-in potentially in that top lane?
Yeah. Be a reasonable answer here. You have the range advantage to play through.
It would be AD Kennen though, right? Otherwise then you've got too much AP with the Corki?
Likely, yeah. Like the on-hit, the Bork, go into the side lane. It's like kind of rose to popularity out of nowhere. The patch hit and everybody's just like, okay, AD Kennen is the bee's knees. It's literally the best thing to ever exist.
Well, it used to be the bee's knees and then he fell off. Because everyone was just like back into bruises.
But, okay, Jarvan lock-in. So, interesting comp Mprox have put together. They have reasonably long range. Caitlyn Corki as their carries is actually very nice, but when you get towards a team fight and you have the Jarvan, the lockdown, AP Kennen doesn't seem like that bad of an option.
Yeah.
Tanks on the other side of the coin, you kind of look at when your damage is indexed very highly into either AD or AP. You search for tanks. Aatrox, off tank at best, kind of has his build path set out before the game starts, and Rek'Sai isn't necessarily the tankiest member either, so
picks.
Still have options.
Mammoth look like they're really playing towards picks. They have a lot of movement that they can do. Very, very mobile in that sense. But for Mprox, just the wombo. It's like that point and click. You get Jarvan to really start off the party, and you have Kennen and Morgana to really overlap with the follow-up damage from Lived and Mboma. So Mprox is really, really clear to see the execution. And for Mammoth, a little bit harder, but you can see what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I think
dominate their solar lanes.
A little bit harder is a very good way to put it, because it is harder to execute. This is a very finesse-style composition. When you take a look at like Yumi and how she functionally plays the game, very good second-in champion. Alistar, Yumi, same role, so maybe that's a bad example. But like Jarvan goes in, Yumi comes in over the top. Like Rek'Sai goes in, not the most reliable engage, but then Yumi wants to come in over the top.
Yep.
So it is really about like getting the first person to go before Yumi can latch on, and Mammoth are in one of these sort of situations where like carries are super strong when you get to late game. There's a bit of a pause. We're going to sit at the desk, talk for a little bit. We'll get it sorted ASAP. But like Mammoth, their carries, Azir, Xayah, like it's not like they get outscaled by the other side. Like Corki is very good, yes, but fairly similar in both respects. And for a game one for the semi-final, both of these teams just playing sort of standard stuff.
Yeah, well, I also see for the side of Mammoth, it's just really just go toe-to-toe or at least try and beat their solo lanes. A lot of it's not really in the team fight for them until later, unless they can find a moment where they can execute on it. For them, I feel like it's just going toe-to-toe with what they're up against. And a lot of that was like a couple of blind picks coming out. You did have the Aatrox. So, yeah, I think it's just safe what they've really got.
Yeah.
But have to wait and see how they execute. Because, again, the burden of execution is on them.
And it is sort of interesting as well, the way the draft played out. Like, they went for the blind picks, as you say, like, yes, Azir and Aatrox, and I'm looking at the solo lanes and how they like to play the game. Getting counter pick Rek'Sai into Jarvan, super good. Like, jungle counter pick when you have, like, standard blinds is a good time, because it, like, does just give you sort of agency to play with. They have a very standard bottom side of the map with the Yuumi down there. And, yeah, kind of coming off a third game, Diacub's Gravitas, and it's like, everybody's just like doubling down. It's like Draven versus, you know what I mean?
Like, just like
triple top
happening?
lane, like GP Vlad ban sort of thing.
Yep.
And yeah, these guys just dipping their toe in the water. You know what I mean?
Want to see how it goes. You're testing your opponent. Yeah. You don't want to give all your cards away too early. But again, we're talking about the burden of execution. This is Mammoth. This is the top team.
Yeah.
They are. Is it undefeated?
10
no,
weeks.
one loss against Legacy in their very first week.
10 weeks of an undefeated streak.
Yeah. So
that's a good time.
This is the team that if you are going to have a bit of a finesse comp, this is a team that you want to see trying it out.
Yeah, certainly. I did also see a few tusks up in the chat, so maybe a couple of fans out there, you know? Because I believe Mammoth currently sitting top of the tables in the OPL, currently sitting top of the tables of the OCS.
What do you mean you believe? You do OPL?
I mean, I was thinking about it for half a second. I'm like, is that true? Yeah. Maybe it's not. Maybe Chiefs actually took that. Maybe that's
Chiefs
not true anymore.
top.
Yeah, okay, that's absolutely wrong. So pretend I said that last week.
Yeah.
And then they're fine.
Yeah, because Chiefs took top. Because I remember all their celebratory tweets.
Yeah.
So Chiefs fans everywhere, finally.
OCS is where it's at for Mammoth.
Yeah, they got this.
Yep. First seed coming into this one. First game of the semi-final versus Mprox. Will there be any level 1 shenanigans?
Oh, we did see it in terms of... Yeah, I mean, they probably have the restraint here. Gravitas getting a little bit cheeky, but have to wait and see. You can never tell with these games. You can never tell in OC.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Okay, it's going to be double TP in the bottom lane, as I just hit my mute button mid-talking. Whoopsie. But it is going to be combat summoner advantage, of course, to the Yuumi. So it is sort of an interesting matchup. You look at Caitlyn lanes, and they do skew the game. It's like, I want jungle attention. I want to abuse my range advantage, hit the turret, and snowball the game out that way. So it'd be interesting to see how Mammoth sort of try to play around this one.
For Mammoth, I think really it just comes down to the smart plays that they are going to make. So we saw with Gravitas, a lot of the times they could be a little bit hasty, and game number 1 really paid off for them. But you can't really expect to see that from Mammoth. Just need to play a cool, calm, collected game, because that's really where Mprox... Again, it feels like Mammoth's game to lose. We have every expectation that we're going to see them progress to the finals. But it comes down to Mprox to really take the fight to them.
Yeah, and it is, I expect, going to be a much slower game this time. In terms of junglers locked in, early game threat. Jarvan level 2 is useful. Rek'Sai can get stuff done, but the lanes they're ganking for, not necessarily the best setup here, so much more standard stuff here. Both AD carry support duos actually starting in lane, so not willing to concede the level 2, leash their jungler or anything like that. So this is actually interesting sort of like scrim bleeding onto the stage. You see like different pools of teams, obviously. This is different to what we saw in game or set number 1.
A little bit of harass still coming out onto Mboma. Always needs to be mindful of the wave, otherwise Yuumi will use that Q to harass behind the waves. But you have so much range with Caitlyn and also Artek now in that fog. And just keep them at bay. But it's just going to be trade for trade.
Yeah, you can see also Artek leveled the W level 1, so very obviously, like, we don't want to fight, we want to push, and that's exactly what you're seeing right now. Immediately walks up the river, fakes out a ward, they just put it shallow in the river bush, so they don't necessarily see the Scuttle Crab when it spawns, but are probably protected from any Rek'Sai gank. You can see though, Mammoth are pinging out though. So maybe are going to be looking for an opportunity on the bot side.
Have to wait and see, but already, as you said, the tempo of this game is so much different. Nice root there coming out. Kyle's just retethers. But the tempo of this game is just so much different from the earlier series of the day. We already saw jungler ganks happening by now, deaths being traded over, top lanes being 1v1. This is much more the standard sort of meta that we see coming out.
Of course, going back on a previous conversation, press the attack means it is absolutely going to be the on-hit cannon here.
Again, that is Yuumi right there. If you don't have anything to hide behind, those Qs will be relentless, as too will be Halo.
Heavy has flash if he wants to opt in for this dive, but Wave died a little bit too quick for his liking. Also, it is a TP from the Corki, so if you do fall down, trade 1-for-1, he realistically won't lose much off the back end. Doesn't want to go for the super aggressive trade early, just finds himself a Scuttle Crab on bot side.
couple pings as well in the bot side over there, just alerting them of vision. And Liv, yeah, he's being harassed within an inch of his life. So that's Halo really just making him work for the CS.
Because it's also corrupting start to the Doran's 2-pot, and Halo has burnt absolutely nothing. Liv has chewed through all 3, and is still sitting at about 250 HP here, so... Definitely struggle town in the mid lane for the Corki right now. Has a good skin, but doesn't have a very good HP bar.
Oh, Halo was very keen to get amongst that. Unfortunately, a little bit didn't quite connect either with the dash, but does finally manage to bully Lived out of that lane. Lived as well, with the wave crashing, has to make the decision whether he wants to teleport back in.
Yeah, likely will. Doesn't want to lose too much. It's one of those weird situations where he knew and was calculating his own mana and his opponent's, so... Kill threat looked dire, but was just sitting on 100 mana, I think Valkyrie costs. And was very, very aware not to go below that mark, so did have the extra layer of safety. This bot lane, now that Poke has landed, is shifting back. Miasma is pretty but... And Boma is also of HP.
That's out of health.
I like of HP better.
That's not how it goes. That's a nice finding again by Artek, being consistent at landing these, just as Hulls is consistent at landing the Qs. But, as you said, the HP trade at least is going over to Mboma, but it has been burning a lot of their mana. You can see Miasma really dipping into those mana pools there. Yeah. Properly
This game is...
The binding actually does land, sneaks in between the minions. They feel threatened enough to at least get the heal.
Gets the trap, okay. Summoner is going to be used there from Isles to keep them a safe HP pool. And I was going to say, this game is like a jungler's heaven. All of these lanes just trading like very aggressively back and forth, and it's like I rock up anywhere and someone's going to be 200 HP and fall down very easily. Of course, it is going to be 6 TPs this game, so combat summoners aren't the way. A lot of teleports left and right. This is an ambitious TP back. We'll get trapped, but... Oh, no, we won't.
No, narrowly trapped. Actually came on the left-hand side, forcing a flash from Artek. So, be very, very pleased on the side of Mammoth.
Yeah, probably about 10, 20 mana away from having Black Shield, and then the slow means nothing and doesn't pay the price of his flash. But unfortunate for Artek, is going to have to cop the Summoner. Paladin is going to get spotted, but this is already incredibly low.
Al's just chilling, waiting for the rest of the teammates. Now can actually tether on to Kevy. It actually is going to be the Dragon Trade over for his life.
Loses first blood picked up for the Rek'Sai. Of course, it is the Hail of Blades in the current meta, so early game incredibly strong and snowballs fairly effectively, but as you mentioned, Earth Dragon does go over to the Jarvan. He got what he came for. It cost him his life.
Kevy can also make his way, try and get a couple more extra jungle minions. Just step back. Make the price a little bit steeper that Paladin had to pay, but it was a mountain break, so worth? Depending on how you want to look at it, for both sides. Yeah,
potentially. Well, EQ is used. Kevy's going to spot him on the Tremor Sense. Jarvan has no ability to fight back without the EQ available, but takes a look. Corki resetting. Doesn't want to commit too hard. His bottom lane is kind of stuck between a turret and the golem, so the opponents would have had the fast track. Doesn't want to opt in for the fight. Given that he knows where the Jarvan is, though, and the blue buffs have spawned, Kevy does have a lot of options available. Halo has just had so much prio this game. Basically the entirety. Liv has not left his turret at all.
Well, that's a hard thing to do against a Corki as well. Normally you see the Corki always being the one to push you into your lane, so to adapt your pick accordingly from Halo just shows that kind of like the bigger picture that he's thinking of.
Yeah, certainly is the case, and I expect given that Rek'Sai showing in the mid lane means that they're going to go immediately to the blue buff, and the ping confirms it. Redemps was holding topside, immediately pushes in that wave. You can see on the minimap, and Paladin absolutely going to get attacked in his jungle right now. Ward spots him.
For a Paladin, not much he can do. Yeah, really not much he can do. So also the blue buff now up for contestation. You do see Liv making his way up, but he might be taken by them. Paladin actually copying a lot of damage from Halo, keeping him at bay. So that will be the blue buff traded.
Reset from Redemps means that they have to back away. Has the TP, but maybe package enough of a deterrent to stop the invade in its tracks. Paladin was kind of in that weird situation as a Jarvan where he didn't have a ward and he desperately wanted to see what health the blue buff was at, but blowing EQ means you're just basically dead. You can't use it for vision when it is your only escape tool. But
No
Very
punish.
nice read. Yeah, gets themselves access to their blue buff. So Lived is definitely happy about that one. If that was an Azir with blue, Corki without, and already given the state of this lane so far, definitely would have been a toughie.
Yep. So now Liv can at least claw back some, but for Halo, he's also going to be looking for his own blue buff to just go toe-to-toe. In the top lane, perhaps a gank attempt coming out here from Paladin. Doesn't quite see it. Redemp's just playing very, very cautiously. Knows the wave is going to push towards him.
Yeah, it's a very nice counter gank read here from the Jarvan.
Ooh.
Not sure if
You actually have Kevy as well.
spotted him. Oh, he's going to move. Just trying to get the wave in for the cannon. We haven't really looked at top lane matchup that much. Executioners, a second Doran's there for Berserker. On-hit cannon really relies on the ability to actually contest the entirety of the laning phase, right? Yes, can farm from safety, but with the extra stats early, deny the healing. Aatrox has an abundance of, so just trying to maintain relevance up there as they're trading waves back and forth.
Yep, Liv is finally starting to bite back with that blue buff. Also, though, his phage has been completed. Make himself a little bit more tankier as well in that mid lane.
Poke traded. You can see both of these lanes are kind of just fishing.
Yeah.
Yuumi has a better time because she has a homing missile, whereas Artek doesn't. It's kind of weird to see a Morgana play much like a Karma, right? He's just burning the mana, the spell shield rather, on Yuumi Qs. This is a significant chunk of damage. He's got himself a Fiendish, so it's probably, what, 200 HP every time a Q lands.
Kevy sneaking on in, see if you can make a play. The bait is there from Isles.
Very nice binds, catching Yuumi on the reattach there. Once again, the junglers just kind of lying in wait. Heavy sitting on a pink ward. Doesn't show, but is ready for any sort of gank attempt by Paladin.
Yep, actually making his way over to blue as well. So Mprox, again, there've been moments from disaster from Kevy's ganks, but just that game sense, or also just like not wanting to play overextended when they don't know where the jungler is, just shows like good restraint.
Yeah, the fact that almost every gank that has almost occurred, because there haven't been much, has been read by the opposing jungler. You know what I mean? Very good game sense coming out, very good vision control to spot them in their tracks, and just kind of lying in wait means that everybody doesn't pull the trigger on early plays. 11 minutes already, and only a single kill taken down when Paladin traded his life for a Mountain Dragon. Next one going to be spawning in about 10 seconds.
So they're keen to get amongst it. Paladin is also here to help. The ultimate has come out from Redems. Paladin's there with the Cataclysm, and now another kill secured by Berserker.
Yeah, very easy takedown. CC on CC from the cannon EQ from Paladin, and Redems just goes by. Has the TP to get himself back to lane, but not the situation you'd like to see yourself in. Heavy was around, but no revive anymore for the Aatrox, means can't buy enough time to get themselves towards the 2 versus 2.
Bot lane, it's going to be business as usual. So Xayah has actually built up a little bit of that CS lead for herself, but it's minute still. Not the be-all, end-all. Ooh,
Yeah,
nice by Artek.
Artek's in one of these situations where Emboma's HP is so much more useful, so spelling the Black Shield onto the Caitlyn is where you find yourself, but then at the cost of his own life somewhat. Sitting incredibly low, going to go through with the recall. Halo still, now with the blue.
Yep, Halo now gets to bite back with a blue of his own. But still just blow for blow.
Ooh.
Also a little bit of a CS difference on him as well.
Yeah, no Valkyrie in the Corki right now, so Lived in a reasonable amount of danger. And yes, this game is significantly slower, but that's now basically an isolated natural plating taken in the mid side. Azir just whacking away the entire time. Bottom lane, the same can be said. So Mammoth, no big fights, but eking out a gold lead.
That's going to be Redemp's actually teleporting into that bot lane. Maybe read the play. Miasma was in a bit of trouble, as you see. He's a little bit low on health. It's being called across, immediately resetting, not wanting to give Berserker too much free reign in the top lane. Plates as well, taken out in that mid lane, so cracking open that mid lane a little bit further.
Halo has had so much priority, gets a bunch of that influx gold from the Rift Herald, but just dropping it immediately in mid lane. You mentioned it, they want to crack open that turret. Tolkien does such a good job at just like QRRing the wave over and over again. It's very difficult to deal with, so makes a lot of sense to bash that one down. Still, only 2 kills have been taken over this game. 80 carries, sitting on first item completed. Mid laners, 1 Nash's Tooth is done. Triforce very nearly going to be there for the Corki. 333 gold will get him over the mark, and I expect upon recall will have enough and a package.
Good read on the objective. So not only did they get the Rift Herald, also picking up that Ocean Dragon for free this time. Really timing the back from the bot lane. Ooh, this is actually going to be the ultimate from Artek. The response is there from Yuumi. The root is there, but Caitlyn's super safe under the turret. Means they can't follow up.
Yeah. Ooh,
Halo in a bit of trouble. Has to use a dash to get away. Liv, he did what he needed to, bully him out of that lane.
Okay, and a couple of big things have happened, right? The Morgana burnt the stopwatch early. You see Featherstorm is down from the Xayah, so Artek is like, yes, we have a jungler, we can look for the 2 versus 2, but unfortunately no stopwatch means that just a Morgana's health pool is not enough for him to stick around. That was the TP before from Redemps that kind of shielded them from the earlier all-in, and yes, there is a TP advantage, but on hit Kennen, not the scariest flanker of all time, so Mammoth's still willing to pressure bot side.
They're going to run straight into Paladin. He opens up with the Cataclysm. You do see the retethering back onto Miasma. There was no follow-up.
Yeah, one of the most frustrating things about Yuumi, if your damage is all front-loaded, EQ into the Cataclysm doesn't really mean much if you can't lock him down after that point, because the reattach is there. E button for the heal, and ours is ultimately okay at almost 0 expenditure. Double pinks in the bottom side of the map though. Jarvan is sticking around. You can see Mammoth constantly Halo pushing mid, floating down towards the bottom side. They want to crack open this bottom lane turret, but TP advantage and the Jarvan is enough to dissuade them time and time again.
Still very, very even. The goal difference is only at about 2k, so each lane has just been toe for toe. Where there has been priority loss, they're picking it up in other lanes. And it's a totally different story. Like, this is a much, much slower game. You can really see both teams really calculating.
Oh, Kennen just burnt his E on the minimap. Flash.
Immediate flash to get him out of harm's way.
Yeah. Use the move speed to get himself some vision. What gank though?
That lane, Paladin's coming back for more. Doesn't have the Cataclysm up, but does have the Flag and Drag. It is going to connect. Miasma forced to use the Featherstorm to get himself out of harm's way.
2 versus 3, not quite enough to lock them down. Featherstorm buys them enough respite. Right, getting the lane outside of underneath their turret, right? This was a very rough laning phase for Caitlyn Morg. Are approaching their probably second item spikes relatively soon in the 80 carries. They've been on the map for a very long time, uncontested, so farm galore. It's down on the bottom side. Kevy round 2 in the blue buff steal. Looks like he may get this one.
Second time lucky, and just to get that one, so Paladin's just rocking up, but he spent a lot of time in that bot lane. Kevy read the situation very, very well, gets a blue buff to his name.
Ping on the way mid, maybe Halo thinking about Shurima shuffle back to a Rek'Sai knock-up. Very standard combo there, very effective. Taking people down. Also that turret.
Yeah,
it's incredibly low in the mid lane. Rift Herald Bash did a bunch of work, and now one wave of like access, one wave of auto attacks would be enough to break open mid lane.
Corki, worth talking about, has also finished the Triforce, so at least hitting that power spike from Liv. But you can see Halo is just relentless, doesn't care. That's the Nash's too. That's all he really needs.
Yeah, he's going to get himself a blue buff, whereas Rek'Sai took the Corkies, so about to be a little bit of a mismatch at the mid lane.
Yep, Kevy making his way over there, and Halo about to take that one, will make Liv's life living hell. So yet again, there's just been that trade. But from Mammoth, they're just getting these micro wins now, which is going to add up in the long term.
Yeah, 3k gold lead, nothing to scoff at. Given only 2 kills taken, so just very nice movements around the map. They've found more access to the Rift Herald. That got them a bunch of gold. Double trap to deny the choke, but turret under fire.
Yeah, they actually want to deny that one. They don't have tabs on Kevy anymore after both Vision Wards were destroyed. And they don't feel safe standing under it. With the mini wave about to die, maybe trying to defend it, but no, actually give it over. So you do have first brick advantage over to the bot lane.
Gank to the bottom side though, Artek.
Yep, that's going to be the shackles coming out from Morgana. Featherstorm to follow it up. There won't be a follow-up stun though.
Okay, flank from Kevy. Doesn't get a summoner, but gets a bunch of prio. Mid lane opened up as well. Paladin.
Yeah, Paladin's happy to 1v1 Redemps. Does have the ultimate, actually forced to flash on out. Berserker isn't there to help just yet. Finally now he's going to be zooming on, trying to help him. The stopwatch comes out. The Maelstrom comes out. Redemps actually manages to die over here, and Halo wants to get in amongst it. He gets so low. Gets the kill, but Berserker is looking for the trade. Lives out on the case. That's going to be the flash, but gets the shutdown. Yeah. So that's going to be a 2-for-1.
Flash Triforce proc, gets the Sheen auto. Halo falls down, and yeah, it was a weird situation. Paladin caught between an enemy top laner and 2 turrets. The boys were coming though, and
Speaking of the boys.
eventually make their way to topside. Yeah, that's going to be a bottom lane rotating up here, but not quickly enough to take down or defend their turret.
That leaves the Mountain Drake free with that kerfuffle we saw, with that scuffle in the top lane. Kevy, again, objectives timed to the minute. He knows when he can go for them and get them for free, essentially.
Yeah, and I think if you're taking a look at how this game has progressed, those 2 kills onto the cannon are actually super impactful. In terms of how Mprox can make progress this game, yes, once they get towards like 2-3 item Caitlyn, it is like a useful tool to play around, but given the jungle matchup, given how much like Halo has been bullying the Corki around, they've really struggled to kind of do anything. Like Mammoth haven't made a big play because they don't have a big skirmish team and they're just happy to take the small advantages, but that did end up being a 3,000 gold lead that's shrinking a little bit now, but now Kennen being deployed in what is now a longer lane at the bottom side with his turret gone means that he has room to play with, and a side lane threat is probably something that Mprox need to be able to progress this one further and start looking aggressive in the mid game.
Let's see how Berserker manages to use those 2 kills to his advantage in the bot lane. Have to wait and see, but it's this top lane that we have eyes on as well. So Miasma, yes, they did go toe-for-toe in that bot lane, but starting to have that CS lead, that advantage over there, matched by Liv. Just rotated to the top lane for now.
Yeah, somewhat interesting that they've gone for the 2-1-1 split. With Jungle just kind of running around, but Azir probably best at just dealing with waves that Caitlyn gets to push in. Very hard to push into the Azir, especially when your support isn't either reliable engage or sustain, right? Morgana, not very useful at dealing with a Azir and the way he kind of interacts. Ooh. Okay.
Yep, lived completely unnoticed. A lot of pings going out into the top side of the river over here. Mammoth, they're rejoining each other. Baron is up. Of course, the play isn't there yet. They'd be looking for a pick first. Only lived.
Rek'Sai,
Yeah,
trouble.
actually going to be Artek who spots out Kevy. The Cataclysm goes out. The ultimate from Rek'Sai tries to stall it. Does ultimately fall on down.
Yeah, he's going to be the 1-for-1 jungle for support trade. Artek, I believe, got stuck between the wall and the Cataclysm and could not go anywhere upon flashes, so he just falls down. Lived is 2 levels above his opponents here. 2 over the AD carry, 3 over the support, so actually deals very well with them in a 1 versus 2, which is super weird. Both the Azir and the Corki are just happy playing in the 1 versus 2.
In their own lane.
They're just chilling, just like, okay, like you guys want to try this? It's all right. I'm just hanging out, you know. I got wave clear.
It's weird because normally you do see the mirror matchups happening, but yeah, Halo just sticking in that lane. But also Liv just easily just has to deal with the wave.
Because it's one of those weird situations where like Mprox is like, we want to break mid, right? Like that's the lane we deploy our AD carry to. We set more members there, and so Mammoth are just like, all right, Azir, you sit there. And then the same coin, Miasma and Isles have just been playing topside, so Corki gets plonked right in front, and you get kind of these mismatches. 21 minutes and a half on the clock right now, so Baron is, yes, up and available, but neither team has shown any propensity to look to start these fights.
Has been spotted out by Miasma. Not much that they can do to lock her down, though. So Artek will be able to get away with that. This is actually a very, very early, a very, very cheeky Baron call, so no vision yet on the side of Mprox.
Azir over the wall.
They would be missing from the map, though. Do they know what's up? I think that they might.
Mprox?
So it's down to half now. In fact, I think they have no idea. I thought Berserker was coming on up, but Kevy's very, very low. Needs someone else to tank. And that's going to be the Baron, just like that, under their noses.
Yeah, super opportunistic call for Mammoth, and you can guarantee Mprox's heart shrunk as soon as they heard the call there. A cheeky Baron steal over the wall, very nicely set up, cost them basically nothing, but a little bit of prio, and 5 members taking it down, and what has been absolutely the slowest game of the day right now. 2-item spike on the AD carry, 2-item spike basically there on the Azir as well, so a Baron to bolster up their siege. This is a very strong Mammoth Academy.
Mammoth, they show no signs of stopping. It's very, very calculated the way they're playing now, but also the risks that they're taking, they're calculated risks. In fact, there's no risk at all. They got that Baron completely for free. They were willing to back off if needed. Halo wasn't fully committing, done over the wall. And just goes to show that they're just happy to spread their resources out and see what works for them.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see how they set up the lanes. Do they want to commit multiple members and look for like a 4-1 siege? Do they still want to play the side lanes with an Azir? Not the best side laner, and you can see already just marching down mid lane is the big chicken. So looks to be the group here for Mammoth. Redemp's still kind of posturing towards bot side, but 2 people from Mprox are showing on the wave, so Mammoth going to find easy numbers advantage, at least for the time being, in the mid lane.
Yep, couple of members down in that bot lane. Keeping them locked together, as you just said. But all attention turned onto that mid lane because Mammoth, they have their eyes set on that turret, only about a third of the health bar remaining on it. They will actually get this one for free. The rotate from bottom wasn't fast enough. So Mammoth, again, these micro advantages that they find themselves with. Halo actually reinforcing that one with the turret of his own, so you can keep that push going for a little bit longer.
Yeah, super obnoxious, a Baron up Azir, just sitting in your territory under a turret of his own making. You see Mammoth don't care about the top side. The lane is very negative on their side of the map, but not wanting to push that one whatsoever. Ping onto the wave. Very often pro teams use this as a we are going to dive or pressure on this wave, so as a tool to sync themselves up. No defense here from Emprox. I mean, they probably get it a wave earlier, though. This turret is dead to rights as Halo may be in a bit of trouble.
Also managed to get a dragon with that. Finally, Halo might have overstayed his welcome. Absolutely does. Liv gets a kill.
Yeah, packages over the top. Triforce and the Infinity Edge completed, so Corki, huge spike here right now, and Mammoth lose their mid laner. Emprox on the offensive right now. Straight up mid lane is the play.
So Halo did keep him at bay as long as he could, but now you have 4 members of Emprox, only 2 members of Mammoth defending this middle turret, but you see they're unwilling to pressure. Miasma dealt with that wave so quickly.
Yeah, just ate it for breakfast. A single member did fall down, but they did get 2 turrets, so gold lead still ever so slightly extending. What on earth was that noise?
That was Morgana's refall with that skin.
I feel like that was a Rengar noise. That was like a TFT 3-item Rengar Void Brawler comp noise.
I actually don't play TFT with the volume up that loud, so I don't know what that sounds like.
Yeah, that was...
But that Morgana skin, I think it got complaints to the devs that it was too loud.
Yeah. There are actually, like, upon release, there's a couple of skins like that. I always say Luna Wraith Caitlyn needs to be muted on the spot.
Get that out.
That's a no-brainer.
Well, speaking of Caitlyn, been trending very well. Only 20 CS difference between them, but you can see they really haven't had much impact to these fights.
Yeah.
Just because they've just been on you farm up duty, essentially. You go clear the lanes.
And because, like, normally, like, OCS, OPL games, like, there's a much more significant lead. Like, 5k is a lot, but the fact that it's normally, like, one team is strong, the other team is weak. This is one of those situations where Emprox are just, they're fine, right? They're neutral, and then Mammoth are stronger. But a single engage from, like, Cataclysm onto the backline from a Gargoyle Java, and, like, that doesn't go punished. And there's so much damage on both of these teams that fights aren't slow. And when fights are quick, like, gold leads get, like, overturned very easily, right? Like, one misstep from Isaiah, he doesn't Featherstorm a piece of CC, Miasma falls down, then 5k turns to nothing. And teamfights can go the other direction than expected.
So Berserker is making things happen in the side lane, but it doesn't even matter. Mammoth will have 6 turrets in total knocked over. Emprox only just got their 2nd turret. So Mammoth are blowing this map open. And they're doing so by smart rotations. They're just going together as a team. They're reading the rotation from Emprox, and Emprox just can't keep up at the end of the day. Yeah,
genuinely. That's what this game has been, right? Like, Mammoth are just quicker, they set up the lanes, and they ping what they're doing, and then they execute it immediately. Set up their waves correctly, so they engineer a numbers advantage, get to the play first, and that equals turrets when you have a Mountain Drake, when you have a rapid-fire 80 carry, very easily just demolish those ones, so... It's a good time to be a Mammoth fan right now, and a good time to be Mammoth Academy. Baron spawning in 1 minute. Said it last time. Yeah, definitely going to draw Emprox out of their base and maybe have the first real team fight of the game so far.
Well, Emprox this time, they will know that something's up. They already lost out from that one sneaky Baron. They can't afford to do it again, so vision is of utmost importance, but you can see Mammoth controls so much of the map, they put themselves at risk to even get that vision.
Yeah, certainly true.
Another GA, completed by Kevy. So we talked that for Mammoth, they didn't really have many tanks. Didn't really need to, I guess. Now Kevy, he can actually just dive in if the occasion arises.
The thing is, like, League of Legends, like, ease of execution favors. Like, if I want to play split push, all I have is split pushes. If I want to play team fight, I have, like, a Maokai, an Ornn, and an Alistar, right? Like, it makes your life easier. But they played around their tools very well, right? Like, it's hard for them to force a fight willy-nilly if they want to fight, but because they lane very well... Ooh.
Paladin wanting to get aggressive. Unfortunately, doesn't quite land onto Kevy, but he does get chunked as a result.
Miasma eats the wave, so... They lose that one. Remember last Baron wasn't fought over, it was just straight up snuck over the wall.
Scuttle actually going over from the Halo in the
Binding
side lane.
lands,
This
though.
time, yeah, the binding does land. That's going to be enough for the Cataclysm. Onto Kevy. He does have the Guardian Angel still. The ultimate comes out. They are trading. Lived had to use the Pocket Watch and the Flash. Doesn't matter though, because Halo is completely decimating Paladin. Also forced to flash.
Miasma.
Finally now Lived is first to fall. Also do. Artek is next to fall. Paladin, it's going to be a double for the Xayah. Mboma, he's stuck between so many members of Mammoth. He falls as well. That's 4 members now down.
And triple TP to the top in here. Top laners don't even interact with the play there, just fighting for priority, and Mammoth walk away with everything. All 4 members dead, maybe even without the Baron, they're looking for the end.
They are. The teleport meant that they have plenty of time to try and do this. Berserk wants to get in amongst it. That's a huge... Maelstrom actually gets the shutdown onto Xayah. That's 2 members. But he does get taken out in the process. Mammoth show no signs of stopping. It was a last-ditch effort, and it almost managed to have the desired result. But Mammoth, they're working their way onto the Nexus. We still have about 5 seconds till they're back in, and it's going to be Mammoth winning this first game of the evening.
And in an absolute grinder, no skirmishes, no Baron team fight, absolutely no nothing. A single team fight closes that one out without the Baron buff, without anything, and very slow start, but Mammoth in control the entire time.
It's funny, right? They wanted to blow up Kevy. You saw the idea behind it. Just blow up Kevy, at least pop the Guardian Angel, fall back. They spent too much time on it, and the backlash was just there.
Yeah, because like when you think about it, it's like triple threat comp. Aatrox wasn't there, but it was just like a 4 versus 4. And when you spend all your resources taking down a Rek'Sai with GA and a Yuumi attached, like Miasma was caught by a binding. In the binding, got hit by a trap, so he was CC'd for probably like 3 seconds, and that is a very long time in a team fight. And the entire time he's just whacking them, right? And on the back line, the Featherstorm comes out, and he just 1v2s the entire bottom lane of Mprox, and yeah, he just kind of got to that point where like the entire game was building. That was the one team fight, and Mammoth just TP top lane, run it through the lane, and that's it.
Yeah, I do like the last-ditch effort by Berserker, but the teleport, I mean, could have come out a little bit earlier, perhaps stalled by Aatrox. But I guess he didn't expect his team to overcommit. So again, it's like that communication. Like, do you want me there? Do you not want me there? It's
well,
like always that weird discussion
it's also
they have.
one of those things where like AD Kennen realistically doesn't actually want a team fight though. Like, and if he does, he wants to be kiting back. Like, he wants to get access to the side lane, but laning didn't go his way enough. Like, he didn't build an advantage. It was very even, very early, and unfortunately, like, wasn't able to make progress in the side lane for Mprox, and it was just a one team fight game. Mammoth pick up the victory, so they're going to start us off first seed out of the regular season, straight into a 1-0 victory. And we'll be back in 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere.